much into renewable and sustainable energy, and hence I started my journey by working at an electric vehicle startup, and I even had a job offer from them. But then one day I came across this concept of photoelectrochemical water splitting, which is also called as artificial photosynthesis. That is, you split water to produce hydrogen fuel purely using sunlight, and that seemed to be such an interesting idea. And I saw that electric vehicles aren't actually a solution to the whole climate crisis that's happening right now. So I decided to make a 180-degree turn and venture into material science, physics, and chemistry without any background.
Why you think electric vehicles are not the solution for climate crisis?
It's because it takes a lot of energy to source all the materials that is required to make an electric car, and a lot of energy goes into manufacturing cars. Basically, making a car is so energy intensive that, and also the resources to make a car is to make an electric car, especially the batteries, the reserves are depleting. And I figured out that there are some other ways to mitigate climate crisis, including one's change in diet, which I've done. So,
but people need to drive, right?
Sorry?
I said people need to travel, right? They're not going to stop travel. So what my point here is, you were saying that I'm not going to look at transportation, but I'm going to look at some other sector. Is that what you're saying?
Right. Yeah. Energy production, clean energy production.
Is there a clean energy? Is there anything called clean energy?
As I see it, so because even the electric vehicles, they are powered by electricity that is produced using coal, most of it. So yeah, that's where I thought that there is the area where a change needs to happen. And what best than to produce energy using sunlight? And I saw that, although solar panels produce electricity right now, but the thing is, storage is the main problem right now. And hydrogen production using water splitting could exactly solve the very same problem of solar panels that we have right now.
But then you have to store that too.
Yeah, but hydrogen can easily be stored. The technology, I believe, is mature enough to do so. And hydrogen can be converted to other form of fuels like alcohols. And I'm not very sure as to what the efficiency of that would be. But hydrogen can be stored as a fuel. So yeah, from then on, I started a group of about artificial photosynthesis in my college, and I didn't have any idea as to what I was doing. I downloaded a paper and read about it and saw how there was this material called an alloy of molybdenum sulfide and titanium dioxide, synthesized that, made my first device with it, and it worked. And then I thought of building a team and making IoT controlled device with it so that we can have a lot of data with collection. And then I went on to get some grants from my university and from Dassault Systems. And I thought that I need to learn a lot more. So that's why I decided to pursue material science and engineering from Duke University. And there's a great group over here. So currently I'm working on using earth-abundant materials for solar cells or even photoelectrochemical water splitting. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm working on right now. And initially when I stumbled upon artificial photosynthesis, I did some calculations and I thought that, I could as well start up a company with this particular compound that I was working on, but turned out I couldn't. And
why you couldn't?
Sorry?
I said, why you couldn't?
I couldn't because the hydrogen production efficiency of that was very low and it was not commercially viable.
Okay.
And I came over here to learn more about solar materials and how to make them more efficient and commercially viable. And so along the way, I figured out that there are certain startups, but I've heard of only one, which is in Rice University, that's working on making PEC or photoelectrochemical devices for hydrogen production.
Isn't
Um,
is it,
but
it's a university startup?
yeah, it's a university startup based in Rice University. Yeah.
I think it's from
Um,
Professor Anjana, I think.
I don't know the name of the professor. I remember the name of his name is Sujay Khatiwada, I think.
I know
Anyways,
what you're talking.
sorry.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And
So let me ask you, Sanket, coming back to your point. So you're telling me a lot of things here. I'm just trying to process the data, but so if, as I said, right, I want to ask you. So when are you graduating?
I'll be graduating the next year.
2021 August or something.
Yeah, right.
And so my question to you is, what is your plan after that? What are you planning?
Yeah, as I mentioned, I have two goals in my mind. The first one is to be able to pay back my student loan ASAP, and to open up my startup and in making solar fuels. And along the way, I realized that I should be making use of machine learning or this domain called material informatics, of which I don't have much idea about, to accelerate the progress in doing the same. And I realized that if I identified some gaps in materials research that goes on in a lab, and I thought that maybe I could introduce a solution over here that could lead to immediate revenue generation once the product is ready, and that could sustain the research for making photoelectrochemical.
Well, like go for, I don't know, higher studies or something. What comes to your mind?
Right. So, with respect to pursuing higher studies, that is a PhD, I'm not very interested in that, because what I believe is that there are plenty of people who have a lot of know-how about all these things than me, and it would make much more sense to hire them once I have my startup. Because it really takes a lot of experience and a lot of work to understand what are the nuances behind and building something to make something technologically feasible. From my point of view, PhD is out. And second thing is that, since I want to pay back my student loan ASAP, I would like to have my startup as soon as possible up and running. And
So my question, so my question to you, no, I understand. So my question to you,
yeah.
do you have a product in your mind? Do you have a product right now?
No, I don't. I just have an idea.
Yeah.
And
Nobody pays for the idea. People pay for the product,
Right.
right? So, okay, so I understand. Okay. And the other thing is, so let me tell you a couple of things. I think I got a good idea from it, and we will go through some of your questions also. So
Sure.
I think it's a right thing to say, I want to pay my loan. All your goals are right direction. So as far as the, this comes on the companies, or you want to start up your companies on material informatics, there are plenty of them out there right now, right? I know one where a couple of my friends do work. It's California based. Its name is Citrine Informatics. So I have a couple of my friends, those who work there. And
Okay.
then couple of other companies, Neuralink, one in San Diego. I think there are a couple of other companies who are working in this area too. So this area is getting crowded as every day. So my point here is, as I said to you, people don't pay for the idea, people pay for the product. So you need to understand that very, very carefully. That this is, and also looking at your profile, looking at your feedback, I don't see you as a person how you would be able to contribute in that area. Like what's your value proposition here that you say, this is what I am going to bring in, other than you are a materials guy, right? And I'm a materials guy, so I don't know what I can do if I have to start a company, to be honest. But it should not discourage you, I would say, is if this is what you have in your mind, and and you have 1 year to go, I would say the right thing for you to do is, so let's say for example, whatever you want to do or anybody wants to do, like say for example, I want to open a car industry, right? So that means I need to have a proper knowledge of that industry, right?
Right.
Do you have that? That's my question to you. And if you don't, what you do, the best thing that you can do is work for that industry for a few years, right? So my
Right.
advice to you is how you can be a good candidate, so that tomorrow a company like Citrine or a company like Neuralink or a company like Ansys or any company who's working in this domain now
Right.
can hire you or could hire you.
Yeah, but as I've heard, that the situation with these companies which are working on material informatics or computational material science is that they want people who have a knowledge of computational material science, and they also prefer PhDs. In fact, one of my friends in Johns Hopkins University, he did his master's over there in computational material science, and he was working as an intern at Cymergen, but he didn't get a job offer at many places just because he doesn't have a PhD. So that's, and also I don't want to get into material informatics. For me, I mean, I have identified a sector, a very niche area that could help both the material informatics startups like Citrine and individual research groups. Connection is what my idea would be about, and that idea is only for generating revenue in the short term. And my long-term goal would be to sustain research on making solar fuels.
No, I know what
So,
I know what you're talking about, but my answer to you would be is you have an idea for a particular sector, right? It doesn't work that way. It doesn't it doesn't qualify you. See, you have to understand like why your sector need that technology, what you will gain from there. And for example, any company like, as I said, any company ABC doesn't work on, okay, I have this product and this product only works for that particular area. They have to use their technology that is applicable for any areas you can talk about, whether it's batteries, whether it's electric vehicles, whether it's aerospace, whether it's biology, but anything, to be frank, right? And you are saying, I want to apply that technology in that particular area. So my question to you would be, and you have to think very carefully, what you are going to bring for that sector. I mean, what is the value in terms of dollars also you have that you can bring for that particular sector, right? See, whether you can, either you can work on the tool, you say, I'm going to improve the tool, right? Or you can say, or you, trust me, when you're going to work as a master student, to be honest with you, as a master student, if you're going to go there and work for any company, you are not going to work for a particular area. They will give you 100 problems because that's what you are supposed to do.
right.
You are not an expert of an area, right? Do you understand my point? So as a person who is hiring you, I want you to explore area B, C, D, E, F, G, because that's what you are supposed to do. You should be able to expand your knowledge and in any area. So again, coming back to my point is, if this is what you would like to do, if let's say you want to get into the area of material informatics and you want to have a company who can work in that area, right? That's again going back to my previous point, where you will start, what you have and where you start, that you need to understand. So to be honest with you, because here's the thing, you said you have to pay your loan also, right? So that means you have to work. I mean,
Okay.
you gonna make money otherwise? Nobody's going. Let's say tomorrow you graduate, you're gonna go out. I have this thing. Nobody gives you money for that. And to be honest with you, there are thousands of students that graduate every year, and some of them have knowledge of that particular technology much better than us, right?
Right.
So only thing we are saying is, see, you have to understand. See, when I graduated as a from material science and engineering, I said, what is my value, right? So if I'm gonna go to a company and say, give me a job, right? What value do I bring to the table? If I say I'm the expert of stainless steel, let's say for example, right? And tomorrow that industry dies, what I'm gonna do?
Yeah.
And especially to be honest, let me tell you, I worked for fuel cell industry for Rolls Royce for 6 years. I have worked already, right?
Okay.
And I know this sector very clearly. This whole renewable fuel cell, hydrogen production. I have worked with DoD projects. I have worked on DOE projects. I'm still doing it, to be honest with you. And I work with many university partners. It's a it's an area which is very at a very low TRL level. So what I'm trying to say, it's not that you are producing in a mass scale. So that means it requires a lot of capital right now for you to say
Right.
that you can mature that area. So my point here is where the capital is going to come from. Unless until your dad has a lot of money in your pocket, nobody's going to give you money, right? Even for companies like Citrine or any other companies, let's say, right? For them to say, give me money because we want to fund this research, it's extremely difficult. So what I'm saying is, one thing is you have a passion for something, right? And another thing is what gonna pay for your bread and butter. These two things are very separate.
Right.
So for
Yeah.
example, any company, let me put it this way, any companies, whether it's Boeing, Rolls-Royce, or whether it's a small startup company or anything, right? What they do is what we call is 80-20 percent 80-20 ratio, that they split their capital. They say 80% of the money we will invest where we can earn our bread and butter, and 20% we will input where we can do R&D, right?
Okay.
That's usually the system are. But there's another way that you can do, is where many people do, is you can always register your company. You can do that. Anybody can do that. And then you can go out for funding, asking from NASA, asking for Department of Energy, Department of Defense, that what we call SBIRs. If you Google it, SBIR. It's called Small Business something. I forgot the name. But that is one way that many people seek money. And I know a couple of my friends who have their companies and who go out and say to NASA, I have this idea, can you fund this idea? That's what they do. Actually, that's the whole idea. That's what they do. They fund the ideas, but then you have to have a proper format. I'm not sure as an international student you can do that, because then you have to find a person who is a citizen or who has a green card or something, right? So there is just not only one restriction, there is more restriction to that. But my advice to you would be is, if you want to go to that particular industry, first of all, what I will do if I was you right now is I want to develop that knowledge base, so that at least I can get hired by those companies as I graduate, so that I can learn about that industry. That's my first step. Okay? Because to be honest with you, the biggest problem that will come is if you don't have a job, and then the other problem, and many students are having this problem because of this COVID crisis, is then the situation is such bad, is because then they have to go back, and the loan and all that becomes a bigger problem. So
Right.
let me go through your questions, and then probably I can answer some of those too. So you said purely from the standpoint of earning more to pay back to startup, USA offers some pay scales on some big company. I prefer working startups, and I would like to get work. So yeah, I mean, as I said, if your interest lies in material informatics, you can work in a company like Citrine, which is a startup. And to be honest with you, if you want to a job in a company like Citrine, again, this is an example I'm saying, right? It's a startup
Yeah.
company, so where you can contribute as a master's student, it's very very difficult for them to say,
Yeah.
right? So what you can do, you can say, can you write research grants? I don't know. Can you write proposals so that you can bring up new ideas? Do you have software skills where you can say, I can improve on the technology? So my point here is, that's how you need to look at, if you would like to have jobs in these startups, which I feel is your interest is too, right? So this is the first thing that you got to work on for next 1 year or so, because then it will allow you to have a job in these companies, and then it will also allow you to keep your interest. And if everything goes fine, maybe 5 year down the road or something, you can have your own company, because then you will know what technology is. I don't think right now you have an idea, but I don't think you are aware of what technology it is, what is the platform it works on. That's where the core is. People pay them for their platform. People don't pay them for their money, for their knowledge. Everybody has knowledge. People pay for their platform, right? Everybody know
Right.
how to do simulation, but people pay for the Ansys platform.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you need to understand that. Is PhD necessarily more desirable for investor to fund my idea in a niche area like material informatics? I don't think material information is a niche area, to be honest with you, because if you have a good group of people, let's say if you have a couple of software people who knows how to build a platform, or if you can come up with a new platform, I think you can have your own company, to be honest with you. So I don't think it is. I think the whole idea would be what new you would be doing, or what is your cost for that particular product. So I don't think it has anything to do with PhD or not PhD. To be honest with you, sometimes PhDs are overrated. People, masters or bachelor students, sometimes are much smarter, right? So it doesn't matter. But only thing that PhD can do is, it can probably qualifies you. So let's say if you have a PhD in the area of, I'm just thinking loud, in the area of um, uh, data centers, let's say, right? And if that particular technology requires the area, it requires the knowledge of data centers, then nobody will argue you, because you are the guy,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying all the people are smart enough, but what I'm saying, it qualifies you.
Right.
But if you can say, I mean, there are many people, right, who can build aeroplane by watching YouTube video. They don't have a degree of aerospace engineering, so anybody can make that argument. But my point here is, makes your job easier,
Right. Okay.
right?
Got it.
What is the US startup funding scenario? COVID-19 crisis? Yes. So that is, I think, the most important question. From my understanding, is I don't think in coming 1 year or 2 year or so. So let me put it this way: what COVID did for small scale and startup companies, it completely destroyed them. Actually, it has completely destroyed them. So all the layoffs, all the crisis that you hear, all the all the job firing that you have heard, is mostly from the startups, mostly because
Uh-huh.
they are the one, they don't have a revenue to sustain.
Okay.
So I'm not sure
Right.
in coming 1 year, 2 year, or 3 year, they will be in position to say, we have a money to hire people, or things like that. I'm not sure. They will be in very tight budget. That's my point,
Okay.
right? So because if you look at even the Silicon Valley area, or any company for that matter, all the, unless and until I mean, right now, even the company like GE is going through a bad phase, or Boeing, right? So but these startups are badly affected right now, hugely.
Uh,
Anything who is a scale of like 50 or 100 companies, or even 500 to 1000, and just what we call a startup companies, are badly affected. And all the areas which were we used to call emerging areas, like electric aeroplanes, and whatever you can talk about, right? All these new areas, new field where we were thinking the growth will be very high. I think, in my opinion, those are hugely suppressed. So let's say if you're gonna go out, say I have this new idea in artificial photosynthesis. They say, why you want to do that? What are you gonna do that? He said, it's gonna make environment better. Maybe somebody will come and claim I don't need a better environment because it's already cleaned up. That's my point. That's how people think. You know what I mean? So I'm not sure once the so let me give you this example. I don't know when the economy will open up. People are going to say, I'm so enthusiastic of buying electric cars now as I used to be in December 2019, as from a consumer point of view, because the air is clean, the gas is cheap, I don't have money in my pocket, and I don't care. All I need a cheap car which can do a good job so far.
Right. But are investors, still funding startups, people with ideas or maybe even a product?
So that's coming back to the point. I'm not sure. So
Okay.
see, look at who are those investors, right? So investors are what they have huge amount of money in the stock market, right? And they say, okay, let me take out that $5 from there and fund you because it looks like in 5 years you're gonna make a better investment for me versus keeping it in a stock market. But right now, everybody have lost money, right? So if I don't have money in my pocket, I'm gonna spend it on you.
Right. Okay.
So that is my point. That's what that's how I think. But you may disagree or can have some other opinion. But that's how my feeling is because that's what I see now. Okay, and what plays the better approach to fund via university entrepreneurial? So as I told you, right, the best way, if you have an idea, the best way to fund that idea now is and even in the bad times, that's how people do. They go to government agencies,
Yeah.
DOD, DOE, because here is the thing. If you look at the NASA metrics, how they distribute the technology, they say technology is from a scale, we call it TRL. They can say technology starts from TRL1 to TRL10. So one is where you say, I have this idea on quantum computing, but it's on papers, right? And TRL10 will be when you deliver an iPhone. So it's from an idea to a product. So my point here is that you need to think where I am. If you have an iPhone, it's pretty easy to sell, right? Tomorrow you can go and say, people, here is the. But if you are at 1 or 2 or 3 stage, where you are in or concept design, or you have a drawing in paper versus you have a prototype versus you have already have a prototype under small production versus you have a